The reason I ask is that what you are doing now seems a little out of the world, little bit, for lack of better word, a woo-woo kind of thing. And and why I bring this up is she's not a woo-woo person. She's a chemical engineer, double majors. Some women gynae, again, it's because of the way they've been
the conditioning, the training.
Correct. The training actually sees things in a very criteria based.
Yeah.
So they forget the human, the emotion that comes with it.
Yeah.
You know, and I see this so much as a coach and you know, with women, and when I tell them that this is something that they need to appreciate that and say, okay, it's okay to put an hour a day for me,
yeah,
and not have to take care of everything and everyone else, right?
Yeah, and if they don't have an hour, at least 10 minutes, and in that 10 minutes, what can you do for yourself?
Correct.
It's not so much about go get a facial or do your nails, but it's about sitting with yourself and being able to see yourself. Yes, breathing, just sit and breathe. And recently I attended a workshop on inner child run by someone from a group I meditate with, and one of the things that came up from my inner child is I myself tend to have a lot of activities that I will do, but where's the point of where to just sit still and do nothing, and just stare into the sky? So my thing would be maybe go for a walk in nature, sit and meditate for at least 5 or 10 minutes, get in touch with the body, and from the body and from the heart, see what comes up. Maybe there's something that you want to work on your diet. Maybe there's something like in diet in terms of, you know, food or certain things that you need to have more of at this stage of life. For me, because I'm going through menopause myself, and I was pre-menopause in 2021, and I remember hearing that term of your pre-menopause from my gynecologist. I'm not married and I don't have kids. And at that point, it was that thing of I had to let myself grieve a bit that I'm not going to have biological children of my own, and that ship has sailed. I may adopt, and I've always had adoption as like an option if I meet someone that I want to get married to or settle down with, that's an option. I knew I didn't want to be a single mom and adopt from stuff I've gone through as a kid earlier. But it was this thing of where I was like, okay, so having a biological child of my own, that is like one bubble or one thing that is now burst.
Right.
And to grieve it and to accept it. As opposed
it's
to
a disappointment,
it's a disappointment, and it's not just societal, because of course mom is like, you know, and my parents have passed, so it's this thing where when I was a kid, mom would always be like, oh, you know, get married and have kids, get married and have kids.
That's the trajectory for all
and then
us,
it was like, okay, this trajectory is not quite going this
way. Exactly.
You know, it's a different trajectory, but it's having that room to really sit with myself. It's not that, and if I need to find support, I found it through groups that I meditate with, or I attend workshops with, where there are friends like Karen and others, where they're going through similar experiences. Like I have a group of friends I've known some of them since I was 5 years old. We went through a private international school in Kuala Lumpur, and they're all over the world, and they're not Malaysian, they are different nationalities, Singaporean, American, British. But we actually share with each other, oh, how are you doing in menopause right now? Do you notice that you're getting brain fog? Yeah, I'm noticing this. Oh, how are you dealing with it? Oh, I was dealing with it by trying to eat healthy, finding natural supplements or natural food. I was on hormone therapy for a bit, and then came off it when I changed gynecologists, because it was something my second gynecologist. I have other health issues. She just said, no.
Okay,
don't do this.
I think that's fundamentally what we are trying to say is sometimes the support may not be your immediate partner or family or best friend. It is from a community, isn't it? And that's sometimes you know, understanding that and knowing that those changes are real, and putting yourself just 1 hour a day or even 30 minutes a day for yourself is not, it should not be negotiable.
Yeah, and in my culture, like I'm Ceylonese, I'm of Sri Lankan ancestry. My grandparents migrated to Malaysia over 100 years ago, and they were working here and stayed on. But in my culture, there is a ceremony for when a girl starts a period. They call it attaining age. And it's a special ceremony. It's spiritual, it's cultural. There's you can't get married as a woman unless you've gone through this ceremony right before you're married. So it's not quite like the Catholic confirmation. It's not in a church, it's done at home. And it's not necessarily done with the priest, it's a ceremony the family does. But it's to celebrate the girl's first period. But there's nothing to celebrate the last period.
Maybe I should do that. Maybe we should do that.
Like, there's no celebration. Because I remember when I started my period thinking, I can't wait for menopause, because it seemed like such a burden to have to figure out, oh, you have to get pads, have to get this, have to get that, and the mess, and
maybe
this, and all that.
Do that, right?
Yeah, so, you know.
The end and the new era, I think.
And so there's something to be said, like, now I don't have my periods, but it's one of those things where I'm like, oh, it's nice not to have to every month figure out, okay, I need to top up on pads, I need to top up on this or that.
Excellent. Okay, one other question. How do unresolved family patterns or generational experiences show up during midlife, especially for women? Especially, let me put it, especially women who are actually what we call, at this age, most of us are sandwich generation, having to deal with elderly parents.
Elderly parents and your children as well, right? So this thing of patterns showing up at menopause, patterns show up at any point of life, and patterns show up when they need attention. It's a little bit like a kid who is tugging at mommy's clothes going, mommy, I want attention, come give me some attention. So if something shows up, so it's not necessarily like in this stage of life, but say there may be repeating patterns in health or unresolved trauma that come down through the line of women in a family. So maybe there may be some issues that you see in a family, people are developing, I know for a few generations they've developed certain health issues around this age. That may be not about the health issue itself. There may be an unresolved trauma in the family that it's just popping up at this stage. Or, you know, like some women go through breast cancer, or they have this issue with, maybe they had problems breastfeeding when they were younger. And I had one friend once said, oh, 3 generations of my family, the women have not been able to breastfeed. You know, so it's biological, it's there in the genes, but okay, maybe there's some other event or something else where a mother couldn't take care of a child, and it's showing up as a pattern, so that the person who's in the current generation looks at it and is able to then look at it in a calm way to resolve it, like as opposed to let me go through the trauma of it again. And when a pattern is seen and recognized, and one is able to release from it and choose a different path, you then break the cycle of repeating the pattern for the rest of the generations of your family. So there may be things now in wisdom that I see, like, okay, when we're reaching menopause, we've gone through all the ups and downs, we're still dealing with different ups and downs, but maybe it's not as sharp. And also now we're looking at the next generation. Because for me, my next generation is my niece, because I don't have kids. It's my nephew and my niece. And in terms of female, it would be my niece. So I look at certain patterns that I noticed this in 2017 on my mother's side of the family. The boys could easily get married. All my cousins, guys, they'll get married, hardly get divorced. They'll stick with their wives. It's like until the end of time kind of thing. And the girls were not married. Or the one that did get married, either when one went through, like, same one person had gone through a couple of relationships where it was like close to marriage, there was a engagement, then maybe that didn't work out, and then another one was married, and then it was a divorce. I was like, well, the girls are fantastic. I'm including myself in that. But it was like, why is there this pattern? I did a family constellation to see, can I get to the roots of this, to understand why there's this block and release it, because I want to be able to find my partner, but I want all my cousins to also find their partners. And I don't want it to continue to my niece as the next female in the next generation. And the interesting that came up in the constellation that I did in 2017 was there was a woman more than 10 generations back in my family who had been forced into a marriage. She didn't put a curse, but she just said, I don't want any girls to be forced into marriage. So there was something to be able to see it and to acknowledge it, and then to be able to go, okay, I choose a different path, and to be able to not summon that ancestor and say, take it back, but to say, please still bless us if we choose a different path from yours, because not all marriage is bad.
Exactly.
My niece met a husband 5 months later.
Oh.
Randomly.
Right.
And I met a guy who seemed very promising, like a few months after that, but it didn't work out. But I had another cousin who confirmed her, like a friend became a life partner. Like they didn't get married, but it became a long-term partnership.
Yeah.
So it was something where when I was comparing notes, because family constellation works on facts, but we don't know all the facts. We look at, okay, what's the probability of certain things from the past happening? But then I could see the results.
Right.
I mean, my cousins all did work on themselves and they've evolved as people. But it was this thing where it was like, oh, this was, I could see a definite shift.
Wow.
And there's still things unfolding, even from that constellation 2017, for me, like aha moments I'm getting even up to now.
Wow. That's, I mean, it's fascinating because when you dig deeper into it, there's so many layers.
Yes.
And it's like an onion peel, keep getting more and more.
And that's such a perfect way of explaining it.
And then you finally realize, oh, that makes sense, because that woman who said, well, I don't want to be forced, but then now things have changed and maybe we have to fine tune that
and to say, okay, so and because when I shared it with my cousins, they said, but we're not being forced. So I said, but our mothers have all planted this idea of you must get married, you must get married, and you must get married at a certain way, oh, you know, it has to be in this way or whatever. So that was the thing that I was telling them. Are you really choosing marriage, or is it our mothers have chosen it for us?
Of course.
You know, because we get conditioned very early.
Exactly. Okay, wow, that
so it was fantastic. Fun discussion.
Okay, one last question.
Sure.
So if a woman listening right now and feeling tired of holding it all together, which a lot of us, because it's the conditioning, and especially if you are a tough career person, we are taught to not show it, and we have to be tough and all that.
That was one of those.
I know, right? and doesn't know where to begin. What gentle first step would you invite her to take?
I would say to maybe go explore something that you've always wanted to do but not had time to do, that is just to nourish yourself. It may be about going for a yoga class or going for a breathwork class or finding someone in a support group to help support you on something, but it's to just break the routine, break the treadmill of the hamster wheel of I have to keep going in this direction, and ask the universe, put the question out there to the universe. If you feel dissatisfied with something, acknowledge it and just say, okay, universe, guide me to where I can find some answers or where I can find some peace. And you will find people or a song or a book or something that comes across your path. Because the points where I've had questions or I've seen, like, when I went through a health crisis then, and I tried certain Western medicine approach, conventional approach, and I found every 2 months my health issue would keep triggering off because I had a bulging disc in my lower back. It didn't completely slip out, so I didn't need surgery, but I would be in excruciating pain every 2 months. And it wasn't until I went through various forms, like I did acupressure, I did acupuncture, and I took medication, and sometimes a combination of everything. It's not about one solution.
Exactly,
But it was just that thing of where I just asked the universe, please guide me to where I can find well-being again. What do I need to do? And so it was a reminder to go back to body.
I think there is reality, as they say. It's madness when you keep doing the same thing expecting different results. So obviously what you're doing now is not giving you the health that you want, or the fulfillment that you want, or the love that you want. So you got to find and make that change and get and do something about it. So that is something very, very important. So thank you so much, Sumi. We've had so much fun talking about
Thank you for having me here, Karen.
But if you guys are interested, you can look down below description to get Sumi's contact, and you can get her to give you some consultation. And most important, like and subscribe our channel, because we are doing this to give you more information about having the best second spring in your lifetime. And most important, Sumi will be joining us on the April retreat that we'll be doing in Jandabai. So if you want to spend some quality time working on making that change and having the best 2026 ever, join us and sign up soon. Until next time, bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks a lot.